Hello, Yolanda and Jillian. This may be a case of overkill, but today, I think I woke up suddenly remembering three very quick stories about one incident, one event, and I thought I'd share this with the two of you just for fun. Of course, if you feel like it, you could send it to your constituents. Anyway, in 1987, I had the great pleasure of playing the part of Fagin in the musical Oliver. I'm reviewing the situation. I must quickly look up everyone I know. Titled people met a station, and so on. Anyway, it was great fun, and I played it at Theater Under the Stars in Stanley Park. And that went on all summer of that summer, and it was wonderful. We had a great time. We had a phenomenal cast, including the girl who played Nancy, was a Juno Award winner, and she was a spectacular singer and an incredibly beautiful, kind of lusty, busty, robust person, and she was great. Anyway, and we had two different boys playing Oliver on different nights, and they were both terrific. The main one was beyond terrific. He was sensational. Anyway, we liked the show so much that the director said, we should rent the costumes and the sets, and we should do this as our own enterprise in Victoria at Christmas. So we did. We did all that, and we had to re-audition some people who couldn't join us. But we took 60 people, all the children and their parents and chaperones and so on, put them in a motel in Victoria, and we played at the Royal Theatre, which is an old sort of opera house. And we had a wonderful 2-week run. And here's two things that happened there and one thing that happened at the Theater Under the Stars. So my habit as an actor on live stages is always to show up 1.5 to 2 hours early, and I go up on the stage and I touch everything and I dance around and I vocalize and I make noises and I move my lips around and so on, and then I go out into the house, into the audience, and I sing from all parts of the auditorium just to get a sense of the sound of the room and so on. So I'm doing all that kind of prep. So on one evening, I'm prepping. This is at the Royal Theatre. And in the middle of all this, I look up, and we had this kid who was our concert master. And he was a relatively young fellow, like 27 or something. And I'm sorry to say that he died a year or so later because he went to New York to visit his girlfriend and suddenly died of a mysterious illness. It was a shock to everyone, including us. But he was a lovely guy. And in fact, he created a local orchestra in Vancouver of young people. He was just an amazing kid. Anyway, I looked up, and there he was while I was warming up on stage. He was standing silently in his tuxedo, and his black bow tie, and he's standing with the violin under his chin and the bow in his hand and doing nothing because he sees that I'm doing something. And I looked up at him, and remember, we're doing Oliver. But because of him standing there with the violin in his hands above me, I immediately switched musicals and I said to him, "You want to know what keeps us together? I will tell you in one word: tradition!" And he immediately, without missing a beat, went rat-ta-ta-ta-ta, da-da-da-da-da-da, and I burst into tears because I'm a very emotional guy. And it was just so sweet. It was such a brilliant, perfect answer to my joke. Anyway, then that guy and another person in our orchestra, also a young player, also a violin player, but a kid from Victoria, he and our concertmaster from Vancouver, the dressing rooms in the Royal Theatre are sort of under the stage. And so at intermissions, the whole cast would be down below, and we've got a lot of kids in the show and there's lots of noise and so on. But these two young men started talking, two violin players, and they discovered that they were both working on the Bach double violin concerto. And wouldn't you know it, they were working on the opposite parts. So they started playing it, and the entire company fell silent. and we sat there in awe during intermission while the audience is, getting drinks and running around and so on. And we are sitting there with tears running down our face. It was an unforgettable experience. And then lastly, the other thing is that when we finished the summer at Theater Under the Stars, there was a cast party somewhere, and there was this kid from Prince George who was part of the company, and he was wonderful. He was great to work with. And he was staying with an aunt during the summer run. And he said, well, David, would you give me a lift home to my aunt? He was about 11 or something. So I said, yeah, sure. So we're driving to his aunt's house, wherever it was. And he said, David, I have to tell you something that when we first started working on the show, all of us kids, we really hated you. I said, really? Why is that? And he said, well, you were unpredictable. I mean, on rehearsals, sometimes you would be very harsh and sometimes you'd be kind of mean. And, and other times you were wonderful and delightful and so on. But it didn't take us long, us kids in the company, to realize that nobody knew the show as well as you did, and nobody loved it as much as you did, and now we all love you. It's the best feedback I ever got from anyone in the theater. Anyway, thank you. You could watch this, throw it away, share it with your people, whatever. I just thought it would be fun to share it with you. Cheers.